we did this.
We did this.
With our hands. Some people say, oh, I built a house. But they didn't. They should have said, I had the house built.
How much would you say this straw bale house cost to build?
Okay, so this is the lumber and the lumber mill, milling the trees that were sustainably harvested from our own land up the hill. And here's a pile of finished lumber. Over here we can see a straw bale wall under construction. That's the beginnings of the banister. And there's a straw bale wall with the bottles being laid on it. The floor plan, 8-sided house, and there's a post at every corner. And then people start to go, oh, you did it the right way. They didn't respect what we were doing at all until market crashed.
An astrologer in the woods who's laughing now. You know?
In episode 1 with homesteaders Mark and Mary, we learned about water rights and how to get water to your house with a water ram, learned about wild salmon in their backyard, heard how Mark built a bridge and then rebuilt it twice more, saw the Cobb cottage made famous from being built on the DIY network, got a tour of the orchard and vegetable garden, and learned about medicinal and edible wild plants. In this episode, we'll see the main house, which took 8 years to build by hand, with materials the land supplied. They'll show us part of their off-grid electrical setup. We'll sit down for a delicious meal of vegetables grown on the property, complete with homemade wine, and see what they call Frida's cabin, a bungalow where I stayed the night. Looks like we've reached the toilet facilities.
Now this used to be a regular outhouse, but then we filled up the hole. We hadn't been used for a long time. We filled up the hole with dirt, we put a cover on it, and we turned it into a sawdust toilet. So in here, it's okay, it's empty now. There's just some sawdust in the bottom here.
Yeah, just sawdust down there.
Just sawdust down there.
Okay.
And then you come, you make your deposit. You put a nice big fat scoop of sawdust on the top, or
Right.
two.
Big fat scoop, okay.
Plenty to cover your deposit. And then that's it. And please shut the lid. And then when it's full, honestly, there's no aroma because the sawdust just absorbs it all. And then you put that into your compost pile and let it compost down for 2 years. And then you can put it on your fruit trees. Much better than the old stinky old yucky outhouses.
All right, so a nice little composting toilet.
Beautiful, I love it. So this is where I empty the bucket from the sawdust toilet. You just dump it out in here, put a bunch of straw on top, and straw can be all these piles of straw you see sitting around from we mowed the yard and you rake up the grass. Big pile of that is straw, put it on top. The sad part about this compost heap is this bindweed is invading it. Not sure how I'm going to handle that. Bindweed is very invasive. But anyway, and then you can throw your food scraps in and your garden waste and just everything. Everything goes into the compost heap. And let it sit. This one's been sitting for a year. I put this bamboo on top. All the leaves are just dropping off. But I think that was kind of clever of me because it's keeping this bindweed elevated so it's not actually invading into the compost heap. It's just messing around with the bamboo stuff on top. Solar clothes dryer. So these here are from an old refrigerator unit that used to be used as a greenhouse for growing starts. I managed to dismantle this thing because the glass was broken in it, and we saved these guts here. And my husband wants to turn them into solar hot water heaters under glass, and I think that it could work. Speaking of repurposing, this thing on top of the solar hot water used to be the skylight in our house. It leaked a lot, and so we replaced it with a newer skylight, and when voila, it's the perfect size that we need for this solar hot water venture.
Okay, so the glass on here gets that black piping super hot, and then the rocks inside help retain the heat and keep the pipes warm. Does that sound right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, great idea.
And it really got effective once we gave it a big cement pad block underneath. This originally was a wooden box, but the box kept on collapsing, of course. Was propped up on whatever. And so then I said, let's make a solid block with rocks and cement. And now that whole thing gets hot, and it became very effective with this block down here.
So this thing's super efficient even in the winter?
No,
Not so much in the winter.
no, we don't bother with it in the winter. It's the summertime.
What do you do in the winter then?
Oh, we take baths inside the house, and we do have a propane on-demand hot water heater, but we also heat a lot of water just on top of the wood stove and haul a big pots of water in, so we're using less propane. Let me show you our outdoor kitchen that we set up for events and campers for our hip camp.
Okay.
And so here we have the kitchen area and a nice little propane stove, even with an oven. Very proud of that. Okay. This countertop I made out of one plank of wood. I reshaped to make it an L shape. That was fun doing that. We have a little dining area, reconditioned windows. This was an antique door that I dressed up. It had a ugly cat door in the bottom. I think it turned out quite nice.
So you repurposed that door, huh?
Yep, we repurposed the door. We got it in Bring Recycling because it had a door jamb, so that made it easy when you get it with the door jamb already done. And these were some other salvaged windows. We scraped all the paint off and repainted them. Cedar frame. This wall is built of cedar, and it used to be a bed frame. And some friends were undoing their parents' house when they died, and I was told, look, here's a cedar bed frame. It's going to the dump if you don't take it. And I saw cedar, not a bed frame. I saw that I could use that, and so I turned it into this wall here, framing up the windows.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, I love doing things like that.
So we're coming into, looks like the tool shed?
Workshop? Untidy at the moment.
All right, well, let's, yeah, I mean, most people's tool sheds and workshops are not the most tidy, but it means, you know, if you're on a homestead, it means you're using the things that are in here.
Yeah, this is all when a lot of stuff was used at the country fair, and I still haven't gotten over putting everything away, but this is a lovely big workbench. Usually it's empty. Very happy with that. Lovely, that's my pride, that counter there with a drawer in it. Over here we have the works for the solar array, the solar panels on the roof, and
because you are completely off-grid here, correct?
Completely off-grid.
And you've been
always have been completely off-grid. 33 years for me, more for my husband.
41 years for him?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
It's a good long time.
Yeah. And so all our power tools are battery-operated power tools. Oh, well, there's a couple of corded things, but mostly battery-operated. That works really good for us. And then there's a battery bank, big old-fashioned batteries. In the house we have lithium-ion phosphate batteries now. Anyway, so more about that later. We'll introduce you to how to make your own simple solar system. You can make your own system very affordably, even as an auxiliary power source for when the power goes out in the winter, or to cut your electric bill down. Good stuff. Okay, this closet here was dumpster dived in the streets in Portland and brought down here, and I went like, oh, it used to be one big door. That was real awkward. I cut it in half. This door here, an antique fly screen door that I added these diagonal pieces and put some polycarbonate in to make a nice big clear door to block the wind. This was a screen door hanging around in the shed up the hill, in our old house up the hill when I got here, and it was already old then, so so it's probably something that's like 60 years old, has been repurposed and has a new life.
That's great.
Yeah, I love doing that.
All right, we're coming up into the next room here, and what do we
Next
have?
room here is under renovations, and this used to be the kitchen, but it's no longer the kitchen. It wasn't good feng shui, but it's becoming a hangout space. It's going to be an art studio for doing arts and crafts. And this is my husband's COVID drum kit.
Well, tell me about that.
Oh, it was COVID, and like, you know, you can't go anywhere, and you can't go to concerts, and he was listening to a lot of music videos, and he decided he wanted to have a drum kit.
So he's out here during COVID drumming, huh?
That's right. Well, it's a good way to get his frustrations out, you know.
Yeah, because he couldn't go anywhere, right?
Mm-hmm. So this is another door that's in the process of, I did the woodwork on it.
Yeah.
But it's yet to be painted, but there's another one of those antique doors that I've been fixing up. These used to be separate buildings, but I had it re-roofed, so it was one big contiguous roof over the top, and we put the deck in between, which has made it really... This deck is recycled lumber from my friend and neighbor's house. She has a big fancy house, and she was having a deck rebuilt, and I went like, oh, what are you doing with that? And so here it is. Now it's my deck.
It is.
Because her deck wasn't undercover, and this deck is undercover, so it will give the roof, the flooring, a longer life. We just flip them over, and it's under a roof, so it'll be fine. This, you're wondering about this siding.
I am wondering about that.
Okay, so this is from a local lumber mill, our friend Frida sustainably harvest his forest, and then when you cut a round log into square lumber, you have all these like semicircular pieces left over. And he has mountains of them that people take away for firewood, etc. But he said you could use that for siding, so here we are. At first we put them on, like here you can see it well, we put it on in this like looking like a log cabin, but then we realized that if we put it on this way it'll shed the water better, although this is undercover now, but when it's this way the water is going to hit here, and then trickle inside. It's going doing this, but over there it can just
fall straight down.
Fall straight down.
Okay, so that avoids any issues with mold or water, just standing water or any of that sort of thing?
Yeah, it stops water from seeping into the
Seeping
walls
into the wood and rotting the wood.
Yeah.
Alright, so it looks like this could be a sauna.
Yes, well, it is a sauna that's being renovated. Like there's 2 rooms are being renovated. And so we've had many wonderful saunas in here. It's kind of a wreck right now, but it will be wonderful again.
Okay, so this was a sauna. And now it's, well, it's not, but it will be again.
It will be again.
So that'll be great to have in the winter here.
Yes, you'll have to come back. We'll invite you to come back when the sauna's ready.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah, but what is interesting here is this door. Okay, this door was built completely out of recycled materials that I already had here. And it's a sandwich door. And there's a 1/2-inch plywood in the middle. I also put in this skinny bit of insulation, which usually you put under flooring. And then you put boards on in opposite directions, so they're going horizontal here and vertical here. And that's what gives it strength. I liked it so much, I didn't even want to take the paint off. I thought, you know, it's just the recycled lumber door. And then this little piece of glass I found in a store. It was like, I don't know, triple discounted and ended up being like $8 instead of $38 or something. Little bargain hunter. So it makes a nice little thing. You can see if anybody's coming in and out at the same time. I was given all of these thingies, and so I stuck them in the walls. Big racks in the walls. And then here we come back to the shower.
Okay, this is the shower over at the end here, and you've got some little sinks here.
Yep, I was given a pair of red sinks, and that's what I did with them.
And do you just fill this up and some water?
Yeah, this is water, temporary arrangement. The way these taps were installed, it's made it difficult for me to replace the tap that stopped working, and I tried to repair the tap with new parts, and just spend a lot of money and didn't work. It's going to look really nice. I got this grey tile to go with that, and that, and then the blue, with the gaps in between, it'll come up to the top when you put the cork in. And then I made this colour paint to go with the green tile.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's going to, oh, that one's got a bit missing anyway. So when it's got the cork in between the tiles, it'll come up to the top. I think it's going to look really nice. Here's another one of my restored antique doors. I still haven't put the doorknob on it, but I think I like the way it turned out. I just painted it plain instead of fancying it up, but I like it. And this wall came out of an old building down on Highway 36 that used to be the general store. And so here's a panel, and here's a panel, and this used to be a door in the middle, but it had this whole framing. And so when we were building this, we just went like, well, there's the wall. We just popped it in and then filled in the middle bit with this other window, and here it is. So
Another great repurposing job.
exactly. The loft bedroom of the yurt extensions. That was used to be my bedroom window.
Oh, okay.
Australia, the latest thing was like using a lot of corrugated iron roofing for repurposing in other ways, and I saw it used in in bathrooms in public spaces. So I got that idea, and this was some roofing we had, and on the other side it's very rusty, but I flipped it over and said it'll make a great shower wall. Nice shower.
All right, should I
Yes.
put my hand under there?
Yes.
All right, let's try that. Oh, that is warm. That's hot. Oh yeah. That is definitely warm.
Yes.
This is the building we just walked through and came out of. And a shot from the other angle. Workshop and kitchen. I see we have a sink out here. Does this work?
Absolutely. What's that one? Yeah. Yeah, it's for our campers. Hand wash station.
All right, well that's all right. Look at that.
You know, it's much closer to be here than go all the way down the other end of the building to the shower roast. In fact, this way predated the showers, having this antique sink here on top of a pedestal, which is all moss covered now.
Covered
because
in moss.
Our campsites are just there. You can go from here.
And this shows you how wet it is here, because this is all moss that's grown on there, what, in 5, 6 years?
No.
10 years?
20 years.
20 years. Okay, it's growing on cement.
Yeah. Moss grows on everything here. Moss is growing on our plastic water, 500-gallon water storage tanks is covered in moss.
That's why you got to keep moving so moss doesn't
Right.
grow on you.
That's right. Good point.
Mark and Mary are going to give us a tour of the house they built, so let's go check it out.
Yay, what
Yay!
So let's go on inside here. There's a lot of
fun.
cool
Mary's
things.
wonderful door.
So Mary built this door herself?
Yes, I did.
Oh, that's a nice door.
So this is another sandwich door. And on the outside it's all cedar, apart from these little bits. And then on the ins, it's glued together onto 3/4-inch plywood.
Which is too thick, by the way.
Yeah, it was supposed to be only 1/2 inch. And then on the other side, we have a variety of timbers. And I made it in this design, which you'll see is going in the opposite directions to this side.
Adding lots of strength.
Yes.
I want to say
This-
something about the glass.
Me too. So this is actually a square piece of glass, a little double pane thing, and I just cut out the plywood was cut out square to fit this in, and then I covered it up with these timbers on the outside to make the round shape. So you could actually make the window any size you want, but you can have
And
or
any
any shape.
Yeah.
But you just fit the glass into inside.
That's a lot. And
Yeah.
it's the same glass as all these other little bits here.
These little
Yeah.
windows.
That's what it would look like.
Now everybody loves the door hinges. They were $10 a piece in the local hardware store. They're gate hinges.
They're mass produced.
Right.
This wall here is an interesting wall.
Okay, let's have a look at that.
Okay, so
Yeah, better seen on this side, yeah.
yeah, better see on this side. I can take these down. We planted these branches into the floor and up the top, and that provides the structure. And then we wove straw that was dipped in clay, was woven in and around.
It's like clay spaghetti, so yes.
Yeah, weaving in between the branches, and then covered with more cob like clay and straw and sand mixture, and then eventually a finished plaster. Then that way you can see it's just a thin wall, because usually cob walls have to be really quite substantial, but you can create thin walls when you wrap it around a structure.
And then you cob
Oh.
over the top of it. And
Okay,
isn't that the same thing we did back there?
Yes.
At the back
So
of the
these
couch.
sticks sort of act like rebar.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
giving it form and structure. Yeah.
And these particular sticks are viney maple, I think.
Yeah, without these sticks going through it, this thin of a cob wall would just fall
Collapse.
down. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
So over here, we have the cob couch. And so again, we've got these poles going up, creating a structure. And then there's actually a box thing back here for this part. And I put chicken wire between it.
Mhm.
And we wove wet clay straw in and out of the chicken wire.
Mhm.
And we're able to sculpture it in that way.
And then you cob over the top of it.
Of course.
So there's a very narrow piece
Yes.
of wall there.
This piece here, this is no thicker than this branch here, which was, you know, a lovely shape to my advantage. And what I did was I put thin bamboo radiating out here. And I drilled holes in this branch and in the post, and I wedged the bamboo in. And then I think I even wove some twine in between that. So I created a lattice framework for it to hold the cob in place. And it's become very strong. We lean up against it all the time. It's worn out, it's worn off the...
Yeah, a little wear spot there.
Yeah, there's a wear spot there from the finished plaster, proving that, like, yeah, we lean up against it.
I've actually never admitted this, but I'll tell you, sometimes I get hangnails, and you can actually use it as an emery board. So I basically, get
Oh, you wore it
Yeah.
out!
yeah, I think I might have done that because that's about where I do it. So true confession, my wife didn't know my
Right.
inner secret there.
So this post here is a maple post, and
It grew here.
it grew here. This tree was growing over against the road, and it was a double tree. It had double trunks, and so half of it died, and we cut it down. And then I said, well, let's harvest the other half before it dies, and we could use it here. And so
So-
that's what we did.
And it's maple. You have to be careful what kind of wood. you
Right.
use.
So we didn't have to cut. It was a tree that was destined
It's
to
gonna
die in a short time. So we weren't destroying a live tree. And here it is, and it's a lovely center post. This big hunk of capital up here.
24 face cuts.
Yes, and that was supplied to us by a neighbor who was a logger. He did horse logging, by the way.
Please note that that's the center of it. So it's not a round of wood. It's the opposite angle.
Yeah, so that was a big old growth piece of
It was.
tree that came out of.
Yeah.
I think he had a big hunk in his
Yeah,
yard
he
or
showed
something.
up with it was about 6 feet long, 4 feet wide, and then he whipped out a 4-foot long chainsaw and carved that out of it and left us all the other bits,
Right.
which has since rotted because they were not inside.
And you said something about putting glue and sawdust up in there?
Oh yes, because these overhead overhead beams were all cut to a point with, and then they're spiked into this thing here. And this capital has a big rebar spike going down the middle of the capital into the wood, just as the base of it is spiked into the floor, so it's spiked in both ways. And then these things had spikes going down into the capital. Because we're not master carpenters, there was gaps between these logs.
I should mention I had to cut those points, 45-degree angle points on the end of each one, straight up and down, while I'm standing on an uneven, shaky surface with a 20-inch bar chainsaw.
Yeah.
So that's how they were cut. So there was, mistakes were made.
But what I did was I mixed up sawdust with waterproof wood glue and just stuffed it in there, and I kept packing it in until I couldn't pack it in anymore. So I believe now it's one solid mass where all the points of the beams come together, and then they're just packed into this sawdust and wood glue, which is super strong. Yeah.
Did you have any problems with little insects in there or anything?
Yeah, I did, because this tree was maybe more compromised than we thought, and after a while we started to see little tiny borer holes, and so that inspired me to put all that sawdust and glue in there, because as well as strengthening the house, it stopped the borers from traveling through to the rest of the house.
I don't think there are borers now, though.
No, because I haven't seen any more little holes. I treated the post several times with some oil that was well saturated with essential oils, especially eucalyptus oil.
And they didn't like biting through that.
No. And I made sure, like, I really saturated, I rubbed it in. And that's what's given this nice color and sheen now, is I rubbed these oils in and made sure they went into the little borer holes, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that solved your borer problem.
It did. And I think it really, what was the clincher was we had a flea infestation owing to having cats. And so we set off flea bombs in the house. And I
We
think
only did that once.
we only did that once, yeah.
25
But I'm
years.
sure that really helped too.
Okay.
But we avoided using other nasty chemicals.
I want to mention this stone wall. So I did that, and you can only do, when you're doing a construction like that, you can only stack about a layer and a half before you have to wait for it to dry for a few days. So to do a wall that size would require, particularly freestanding, like nothing holding it up, this would take, what, 6 or 8 weeks or something. And we were required by our building inspector to not have it touch at the top. So that's required, that little tiny bit of space there. And then we like this secret spy hole, so does the grandkids and the cats.
Little children love that
Yeah,
pee-pee
it's
hole.
rubbing stuff down
Little
it, yeah.
faces peer.
Yeah.
The howler monkey toy comes flying down.
So eventually we're going to cob over this and have it more decorative. I grew up in a land full of terraces and a father that loved to do stack rocks, so this is just in my blood and bones. I was like, must make rock wall.
Okay. So this countertop here is worthy of mention because it was a tree from our own land.
It was 42 years old.
Yep. And it's Douglas fir, and I took it over to our local miller friend, and 15 miles down the road, and it was milled to my specifications on the mill.
And actually, you should get a shot that there's the center of the wood right there.
Yeah.
So this is 3 pieces, the 2 sides and the middle.
And then the middle piece was milled thinner to put these tiles in. I want to have these for rolling out pastry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, these marbles.
So you can see there's good growth here. When you look at that, that's like, these are good growth years. lesser growth years. But like I said, I seem to remember that this was 42 years old. So that means it was this wide, you know.
This countertop here was a gift to me from a friend, Freddie, and it's a chestnut tree, and it's one plank.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big, long plank.
Yeah.
It's a big, long, beautiful plank, and it was one of the first things he milled, and he'd had it for like 30 years or something.
Yeah, he was going to sell it for $150, but he decided to
But
take
he
it.
gave it to me. Yeah, it's like 20 inches wide. It's lovely.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, Freddie didn't mill the wood on our land with the portable mill, but he is a miller 15 miles away, and he did do a lot of the milling on this.
Yeah.
You know, because that, what we had done up top, that was just the start. You know, that was maybe half to 3/4 of the wood.
Yes, well, he supplied all this cedar trim everywhere.
Trim.
It's all local. Freddie Mensa has sustainably harvested his forest for decades. And you look at it and go, oh, it's just a little thinner, a little less dense than usual. But you never know, you've just been milling wood from it.
For over 40 years.
Yeah. It's nice to know the source of the materials.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Yeah.
On the other hand, these shelves here are all made out of scraps that I garnered out of recycle stores, like Bring Recycling and Habitat for Humanity.
We do a lot of that stuff too.
Yeah. So I'm always raiding those stores, finding 1x4s and 1x6s and interesting pieces. I had an idea about what I wanted. Pieces I had played a role in the design.
Right. And
Yeah, it's more like
yeah.
we buy these pieces and then we figure out what to do with them. Yeah,
Well, you know, I have ideas about what I do, but
Yeah.
I also gather pieces, and I've got like a little warehouse of
exactly.
possibly useful lumber bits, you know, because we're far away from the shops. Then it's more economical, and you get nicer materials this way too.
When Mary first moved here, I have a whole warehouse full of possibly useful metal objects, and she was like wanting to turn a bunch out, and I was like, no, those are pumos. So these are puos, you know, possibly useful wooden objects. And you know, we save a lot of money gathering ahead of time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, gleaning.
Gleaning.
It's like gleaning lumber. And when we were building the house, in those days there was still a lot of renovations going on in Eugene.
Before they put up a fence to protect you from
Whatever.
From
There were
recycling.
often big dumpsters out in the street with reasonable pieces of lumber that carpenters were just discarding because
it's
they
quicker. Yeah.
was quicker to get a new piece instead of saving up the small pieces and reusing them. I think they've changed their tactic now as materials have become more expensive. In the early 2000s, I garnered a lot of stuff.
And that was the end of it too, because starting about 1980, I started gathering stuff, you know, before your time. Yeah.
Yes. But in 2008, things changed a lot. Everything slumped and people were losing their jobs and losing their houses because they couldn't keep up with the mortgage payments and all of that. The market crashed, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And before that, people were like, oh, you're taking so long to build your house, you know, because we started in 2000 and it's 2008. And
We don't have a mortgage, so
we didn't have a mortgage.
we had no bank saying when you're going to get done.
We didn't lose our land or our house.
It was
Right.
paid for.
And
by
then
2000.
people started to go, oh, you did it the right way.
In fact, people
They
didn't
stopped-
really respect it until about then.
They didn't
figure it
respect
out at
what we
all.
were doing at all until the market crashed. Then they're like, oh, you did
I
the
got
right
to be an astrologer in the woods. Who's laughing now? You know? My dream partner in life.
Anyway, so in those early years before the market crashed, there was a lot of renovations going on, and you could glean a lot of, you know, 2x4s and 2x6s and pieces, and
Oh, and like straight grain 1x4 tongue and groove.
all
old
kinds of
growth.
things. Yeah.
Like my
Oh,
floor.
yes. So a lot of this has been like that, recycling,
Yeah.
Yeah.
scavenging.
Yeah.
Okay, so your dad built 2 houses.
Yes.
in his lifetime.
In his
Right.
lifetime, not just one.
One when I was born, and the second one when he was in his 70s by himself. Yeah. Then my sister remodeled it once Dad died, and so these cabinets and stuff are from the stuff that they took out to put in the IKEA style.
Yeah, this needs some repair. Like all houses, straw bale houses and cob houses need to be repaired, but you can see what the inside is. And so here's a good demonstration of how thick the walls are.
Yeah, there you go.
Because this is a half
They're
wall.
that thick.
Yeah. Well, that's
That's a full bale.
that's quite thick. That's
Yeah, I
that's
think
Yeah.
it's 20 inches, or even 21 maybe,
yeah.
before you put the slather on it.
And there's a lot of slather on it. So
Yeah.
20 inches. And you can see how this is a post of the house, and then the
And upright, yeah.
And I noticed the bottles as well.
Yeah,
yes.
Yep. We mentioned the bottles. That's a way that, in our case, this is 2 bales up here, and then the third. Then basically we wanted it a little taller, so we did the bottles, so it added another 4 inches. In that row of bottles, above the bottles is a 4x12 structural piece. So the bales got only so high, and then there's about 4 to 6 inches that we had to fill in. Cob, it can be free, but it takes a lot of time to make it. So by putting in those bottles, we saved several loads of cob,
And
plus
it's
a lot
also,
of time.
it's also fun. And at different times of the day, different bottles suddenly flare as the light hits them on the outside.
That's true.
They'll start glowing.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
Cool.
And so what we have is a bottle here, and then a jar on the other end.
Like mason jar quart.
And then that was wrapped in, what we used was the cartons from,
Rice stream and stuff
yeah, from soy milk and such, because that's reflective on the
on
inside.
the inside.
And it made a solid cardboard cylinder to join the bottle and the glass together. So you get
So
a
it's wrapped-
tube, you got a
Wrapped
solid
with duct
tube.
tape, and so the only cost is the duct tape.
Let's go upstairs.
This is me in my natural habitat. Okay.
Yes.
So I did this there, and I also did this. This took 9 days. Do not attempt this at home because join points being indented and this not being straight wood. So I waited until Mary went to Australia before I took it on. And she was away and she wouldn't nag me. Because it was a mess for a long
That's
time.
very indigenous.
Okay.
There's 9 kinds of wood in there.
9 kinds of wood.
Yeah.
Wow.
Viney maple, the yew. The dark one is the yew. Let's see, halfway down. Fir, all kinds of stuff.
Welcome to the upstairs, everybody. We're gonna have a look around. This is beautiful up here. So tell me about all this.
Oh, we'll illuminate it for you.
Yeah.
First, we're going to start with, we got checked off. We haven't finished our ceiling yet.
Ceiling is in progress,
Yeah.
and you can see the drywall.
We haven't done a dang thing with it for over a decade.
It's just very daunting now we're living in it. So that's another thing to say to people. Finish it before you move in, because once you move in,
We have
It's
to move
really
all that
hard
furniture
to
and put
finish
down
it.
drop cloths,
Yeah.
cloths and stuff. That's a major factor. And have a bigger crew than us.
and also when we were building the house, I installed the bathroom downstairs, and I just wanted to install the bathroom from beginning to end and finish that room. But I couldn't because of the whole inspection process,
You're not allowed to do that.
and then they have to inspect it, and then but you have to finish all the plumbing and then
You
all
have
the
to leave
electrical
your walls
everywhere.
open until they're done with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
paper barrier. And
But, if
Or
you're not
everywhere.
having to deal with inspectors, I recommend, or even if you are, I recommend starting small,
yeah, and adding.
but with plans of how you're going to expand it. So you already know what your first steps are, and so it's almost like you could build it in modules. So you're just biting up a small bit that will serve your needs, like create a studio with a kitchen and a bathroom. Finish that completely and move in. And then know that
And then
this
do your
window will become the door that leads to the bedroom wing
Exactly.
that you can build later. And this door leads to a bigger living room And what you have originally would just become a whole big kitchen area.
Yeah.
Something like
That's
that.
the way they used to do it before it
Yes.
was around mortgages. But I want to add one thing to that, which is if you're really smart, do like a 2-story thing, freestanding first, and then adding things on the side of that is so much easier. Like adding a 2-story to a 1-story, you're going to have leaks. But if you add a 1-story to a 2-story, you have overhangs.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, no, I think that's really, in terms of what you're doing, the planning ahead.
Right. Anyway, it's a matter
Not
of
that I did
good
that.
planning. In the area where I grew up, it was very common for people to build half a house, and then a few years later they'd build the other half of the house. This was in the 1950s and 60s in Australia, so there was a different whole process. I don't know that we had to have our plans approved, but I don't remember anything about building inspectors coming seeing what you're doing.
So once you build it, you can add on here, like we can add on a room here or there, or without permission, without having permission.
You're allowed to expand a certain amount.
Yeah, once you get checked off.
It's all about the codes.
So you don't need more permitting for that.
Right. Well, you don't need it. Yeah, some people get out of hand because there's a certain. I'm saying you can add a bedroom or something. I'm not saying you can add a whole nother house to it because that's different. I think it's 600 square feet in this county at this time.
Anyway.
Okay.
So over here you can see more the effect of the straw bale walls, these deep windows.
You see all kinds of musical instruments I don't play nearly enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just get a shot of this here.
Yeah, this is where we sculpted it. We sculpted a niche into the wall, and
So
we
that's an altar.
sculpted trees going up there.
Eventually these trees are going to go into the blue sky, which is going to go around here and then connect with the goddess thing. We haven't,
No, we haven't
gotten there yet.
the murals thing.
So you haven't connected with the goddess yet?
No.
No.
But not up here. But can I mention that the blue is from the bluing on laundry.
Yes, laundry bluing.
Okay, so that's your dye.
Yes.
Yeah.
Blue dye is very expensive, but laundry bluing, which I don't know if you can still buy it, but it used to be readily available and really cheap. And that's the kind of blue it comes out when you put it into white clay.
Okay, well let me get a quick close-up so we can
So it's
show...
like blue sky color.
Yeah, a blue sky sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well,
Also, just note this is one of the uprights. So those are logs that are placed as a post and beam house, and then we infilled it. So the structure is with these wooden uprights and the cross beams. Underneath this would be a 4x12 that's bolted to it. 2 bolts, 2 bolts. These 4x12s, 16'9". They cost us about $8 each. They have no knots whatsoever, completely clear. You can't buy wood that is that good because they'll turn it into something else.
all right, well I notice you have an assortment of musical instruments over here.
And I play most of this. Well, I play everything here, just not enough. My sister was very generous with instruments. When COVID happened, I bought drum parts for a drum set. I'm a drummer, a hand drummer. And but I was practicing with sticks because it was COVID. Then my neighbor was selling her drum kit, so you may notice in the other building the Tom Tom Club has an entire other drum set because it's fun and because I can. And then Mary created this room divider from elements, and so this is actually really one big room. So there's no support post in the middle, and that's really important to our design. I told the building inspector, well, when we're done, I want to throw a party with a band and 40 people. And he said, you could do that in this place.
Oh, yeah, the engineer actually.
The engineering, yeah.
Yeah. So I teach Zoom yoga classes here in this space. And I needed a nice plain backdrop for doing that. First of all, I got these small screens. And then I bought another one, which I took apart and got the same tone pine wood and put it together like this so that it's taller. And if you want to come over here, open that. It's attached to a bookcase which holds it up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was, I kind of
Well,
liked my, I thought it was quite clever
Well, you're
actually.
very clever.
Because it's a movable wall.
So if we wanted to, we could also scoot this all the way back and have that much more room. Other variations, and
I really wouldn't want to go scooting it now. There's all this stuff here, but
A lot of books in there. It'd be kind of heavy.
yeah. But anyway, it could be moved if needed. So anyway, I like that.
So a portable room divider slash
do
bookcase.
you want to show your room?
Yes, we're going to do that.
Okay.
Now, one thing I want to clear is when I say I did this or we did this, we did this.
We did this.
With our hands. Some people say, oh, I built a house. But they didn't. They should have said, I had the house built.
We want to honor the artisans. We have other artisans that helped us.
Yes. Like other artisans
Like the roof.
did this beautiful sculpture
Yeah,
work
that's
around
Dira
my
Lawrence.
window.
She's,
Dira Lawrence.
Done a lot of murals in Eugene, along with her mother, Emily Casey.
Again, here you can appreciate the thickness of the walls.
Yep.
Yes.
And that right angle window is my idea. So
The diamond window.
as I've mentioned, a lot of my work here you don't see. So this is, framed this and all that stuff, and you don't see any of the work that I did.
Yes, you do, Mark. You see the entire done house.
Yeah, that's right. You see that, yeah, as you said earlier, I focused on the bones a lot.
This wall used to be a full straw bale wall, which came out to, you can see where I've added plywood in on the floor, and to here, where it changes. So I gained a lot of space by taking out this whole straw bale wall, and because it needs another window in here.
Okay, you can see the straw right there. I mean,
Yeah,
it's-
yeah, well that's where there was a bottle in the wall.
Oh, okay, right.
That's where there was a bottle.
But even in the other places, you can see the straw.
Let's see the straw. And
Straw,
so this is the
And you-
inside of the stucco.
And you've got a bit of chicken wire here.
Yeah, well on the outside we were required to put chicken wire or lath all over the straw bales. I don't think it was necessary, but that was code and what we had to do. Which in this case it was quite good because now it's holding this cement work together more. Sometime in September we're going to punch this out and put the window in here. And then there'll be a lot more light and air in this little space. I'll just take that out now. So here is what you can see. This is now a split straw bale wall as opposed to a full straw bale wall.
Okay.
I
so
thought that's what was interesting.
this is the full straw bale here, and this over here is
I cut them in half.
okay.
And so I got the idea from the cottage. Went, ooh. And then because the bales were all kind of loose and falling apart, I put in lots of pieces of wood here to hold this whole thing, to give it strength, to hold it together. And a short bit for the window. And so this is how we do electricity in a straw bale house. The cables just get buried in the straw. And then you attach the box to this, I don't know what you call it, piece of pointy wood. And now I'm going to carve into this bale and drive that in there.
Okay.
That's going to get driven into the wall and then it'll be secure. That's how you do your electrical. Where for the inspector I had to use the grey covered wire, the stuff that's meant for, you can have it exterior and in the ground. But it's not necessary because this is never going to get wet. It's in a completely dry wall. I just used what I had. So that's what I wanted you to see in here.
All right.
This
see
is
the-
a good before and after kind of thing.
Yeah.
Great. And we can see the bottles here
Yep.
You
again.
can see the bottles here
But they're
again.
not cleaned up because they're not done, because you just take a wet cloth and you can clean all that. but
Right.
there's
And
really
then
no point yet.
I put these tubes in here, you can see to the outside, to create ventilation. And I don't know where they are, but I've got round plugs of 4-inch thick insulation. You can put it in there to plug it up in the winter. Something I came up with. And then it was still stuffy in here, so there's a vent. And I've got a nice piece of filigree wood to put in there.
And that's why you want to pop out that wall and get that.
Yeah.
My room has really good ventilation, which is good.
Because he has more windows.
Yeah.
And you're at the top of the stairs.
So I'm just going to get a shot of this here. Show everybody. You got straw bale and some wood.
So that's
up
straw
here.
bale with 2 layers on it. Not
Oh yeah, this big fat beam here
Yeah.
That's a 4x12.
that goes all the way around the perimeter of the house.
Well, not the single one, but you know, all the 4x12s go around the whole thing.
Right.
Oh no, Mark. We soaked them and we bent them.
These are due 45 and a 90. I'm very literal sometimes.
And then
Alright.
I'll show you
Well,
one.
I'll just show the skylight here
Yeah.
for a sec.
Yeah.
So you got a nice
Little
skylight.
cobwebs.
And
Yeah.
nice cobwebs with it. Because we haven't, bless you, as
So
Mary's sneeze exhibited, we haven't been in this room for a couple of months.
Yeah, cobwebs happen quickly here. So this here is slanted at each end to invite more light into the room, and it really works because then,
Yeah, we're slightly on the north side of the house here.
yeah. So then when I turn it off, lots of light hits that wall because I put the.
And as you mentioned when you walked in there, it was like, oh, it's pretty light without the light. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very bright
That's
room.
natural lighting.
And then something I like doing is I set this little cupboard. Maybe
Oh,
you don't
back
want to
in
show
there?
it. Yeah, I set the cupboard into the straw bales.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, I've got a nice plank to put on the top of there. It'll be really pretty.
Okay, so this is the raw room. This is the real deal in progress.
Yes.
Tell me about this.
Yeah, it's all
flooring.
tongue and groove that we recycled a long time ago. So it's probably be a few dollars a foot if you could get that now. But I don't think you can. It's good stuff.
So old growth, tongue and groove, solid stuff.
So 1x4 on top of 3/4 inch plywood.
And what do we have over here, Mary?
These modems for the internet, they're all 12 volt. So instead of making electricity into 110 and then making it back down into 12 volts, which doesn't make sense, I just brought 12 volt DC electricity straight up, and then here it plugs in here. So I made this like
Display.
panel, and I can just plug these things directly into 12 volts. There's 2 devices, so this makes it very easy. I can just one little
That turns off the Wi-Fi right there.
that turns off the whole thing. There we go.
Simple.
Simple.
And
It
you-
made life so much simpler doing that.
So you've got 2 12-volt.
Devices,
Yeah.
which they're both related to the Wi-Fi. That's like the modem, and then that turns it into Wi-Fi and
Yeah, you don't
sends the
think
signal
they're
everywhere.
12 volt, but they have a kind of a extra plug on the back that you can tell that it's, oh, you actually don't need it to plug in if you put a cigarette lighter plug on it, plugged in to 12 volts.
So you've
And
got-
that's because of the size of these in the back. That indicated, oh, that's really 12 volt there. That's not 110.
Yeah, this
So
here.
all kinds of stuff that we have at home, anywhere, everybody has these little plugs sometimes with the 12 volt. And it means it's actually 12 volt, and it's being, as she said, run through AC twice. You know, it's being really inefficient to do it.
All right, so this is just a
Okay.
much more efficient way of doing it.
Yeah.
And you've got 3 12-volt ports and some USB ports up
And
here.
some USB ports, yeah, so we can charge a cell phone up here if you like. And
This array is designed around music, though. This is our entertainment center.
Well,
So
this
that's
part
why we
is
put in
for
extra
that.
stuff.
Over here, we have the music part. So here's a 12 volt car stereo,
Right.
which I mounted like this, and we can just flip it on.
Yeah, you've got a 12-volt car stereo system right in your house.
Right.
With,
And there's a
player and you can plug
lovely
in the USB.
speaker, and there's another one over there. They're great speakers.
We can't play anything because I'll get a copyright claim.
That's right. We can't do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we won't. But anyway.
Good sound.
It sounds great. And has a USB port here. We could plug in some driving music on it if we wanted to. This is a record player, because we have these old vinyl records.
Yeah, we're old.
Yeah, we're old. We have vinyl records from our childhood.
I
From our
have,
teenage
original
years.
Beatles.
So here's a little
official
tiny
recordings and
inverter.
like that.
And this little inverter will make enough power to run this machine. Plug it in here, and then it will come on. There we go.
Okay.
So we don't need to turn on the big inverter, 1,000-watt inverter downstairs. We can just have a little tiny inverters for individual units that supply the amount of wattage that's needed by this unit. And that way it's more efficient, more electrical efficient. Hey, well, we had to have a flush toilet, so here it is. Here's a flush toilet.
Okay, so that was a requirement when
That was a
building the
requirement
house.
for the building code. And actually it's very nice in the winter not to have to run outside. And I like this feature. I made a little cupboard in the wall.
Oh, nice.
A little cubby hole in the wall.
Okay. Now, because you have a toilet, does that mean you have a septic system?
Yes.
Was that another requirement, I would
Of
imagine?
course.
Of course.
Yes. Yes, we had so that's a funny story. We had to buy a septic permit, and we were supposed to put in a septic system, and we looked at it, and Mark said, I don't want to put in a septic system, I want to build a house. So we didn't put in a septic system.
They've laid out some photographs of the building when it was under construction, and tell us about this.
Okay, so this is the lumber and the lumber mill, milling the trees that were sustainably harvested from our own land up the hill, and here's a pile of finished lumber.
Okay.
This was doing the foundation, which we poured ourselves by hand. This is how we raised the big posts with a tripod. And it's one of the first ones going up. And first we built the back section of the house, and then attached the main section to it.
And what do we have over here?
Over here we can see a straw bale wall under construction. That's the beginnings of the banister. And there's a straw bale wall with the bottles being laid on it and a little window. And then here's that same wall being plastered over with earthen plaster. First layer. This is the house with the early parts of stucco going on the outside.
We were required to stucco the outside, not just earth and plaster, because we're really, really heavy rain.
Yeah, there's me in the...
Aren't we? Yeah.
This is the inside, that's the ceiling, that's what's overhead here. You can see the big beams holding up the floor up to the top. That's why I put that picture in.
Okay.
Here's the mortise and tenon. These posts were put up at it's an 8-sided house, so there was, we can see here
Bolted to
the floor plan, 8-sided house, and there's a post at every corner. And then they were joined together with these big beams.
Uprights.
Well, these are the uprights, and
yes.
then these
4x12s.
4x12s went around. And then that's a...
That's 8 foot.
Okay, that's the house under construction right there. And we
there's
have
the
a cat in front of us.
They like to do that.
Okay, so there is the house under construction.
Well, I'm going to show you this detail right here. Okay, so this is a straw bale house. So it's got earthen plaster on the inside. We're out on the Oregon coast. We had to have a cement mixture in the outside plaster. But this is the inside. And what you see is what you get. We didn't do a couple of places. You know, sometimes they show a truth window or whatever, but the truth is we just didn't get done. And so this is done. And if you look up higher, you can see layers that are not done. We were thinking of making a whole mural, and we haven't done it yet. And murals have nothing to do with inspection, so we haven't finished it. We haven't had to. The blue in this dye, it's an agent that they put in that makes your clothes really white. It's called blue. It's kind of old-fashioned. If you just did the bottle without the reflective, you would get not very much light at all. This is a place where we did this on purpose because we had a beam right here, which you can't see anymore, and we had straw bales here, and we had this little space to fill up. Well, of course, you can fill it up with cob. It'll take forever to dry, but hey, we can have bottles. We save that much cob. And if you start mixing cob, it's really fun, but it's labor intensive and not quick. By the time you do a project this size, you really want to have other options.
How thick are the bales in this straw bale house?
That brings up the R value thing. R value is based on not thermal mass, but how much insulating value you get. So if you have something like really intense on one side, rock or stucco or cob, it's good to have a barrier towards the other side. And in our case, having these straw bales in here, the insulation went from, typical wall is R15, and that's code now. These are R45, so they're triple thickness. And because of that, we only need this one wood stove to heat the whole house.
Okay, so that's why it was so cool when I walked in here, even though it's like 88 degrees outside.
Yeah, if we keep the door shut on a day like today where it could be 90 or something, the warm air doesn't come in. And so it keeps the cold air contained. And so, yeah, 68 to 72 year-round, at least downstairs. We love cob. Cob's really fun. People love to play with mud pies. But if you just do cob, or if you did something like this, where this is cob and rock and great thermal mass, but it doesn't give you R protection because there's nothing breaking that up. So that's great for the southwest, but for the northwest, having the insulating value is really important.
You do get cold winters here, correct?
Highly humid, so it's penetrating wet. We're talking the Oregon coast. We don't get snow every year here. If you look at the East Coast, and it's a lower latitude than it is here, but we don't get severe winters generally. We can get some bouts of intensity.
But you can get very damp winters.
We get a lot of rain in the winter. It hardly rains in the summer. We get most of our rain in the winter. So yeah, 10 inches is like nothing a month. But it's penetrating cold. So it's not your cold, crisp thing that you get in the desert country or whatever. It's a different kind of cold.
Like a damp, bone-chilling type of cold.
Yeah. I love living here, but some people have a hard time with that. I would have a hard time in the desert. And other people would have a hard time here because in the summer they call it green heaven, and sometimes in the winter they call it green hell, I love it.
Let's talk about this wood stove here.
Yeah.
This is your sole source of heat in the winter?
Right, so we don't have baseboard heaters or anything, which is really important with being off the grid. The amount of energy that you would use has everything to do with heating and cooling and so forth like that. So this is all we need. It's important to notice that we shopped around. We got this stove is from Canada, and it's not split. Like a lot of times you'll have a split level, and it's hard to put a lot of pots on. In the winter we put, 1, 2, 3 pots, 2 little pots. So we'll have, 15 gallons of water heating on there. We cook on it in the winter. In the summer, we hardly use it. I burn off my, paper trash when I have to, as little as possible. But outside that, we don't use it in the summer. So it heats the whole house. This is about 2,100 square foot house, 2 stories. That's a lot of heat. This is an official house, inspected and stuff. So we had to, anywhere that there was a living space, we had to keep it so it would never go below 60 degrees, and that was their measuring stick. So we have a bathroom back there, but we have vents in these little holes in the seat. So it goes there, goes through the seat, and there's also vents at the top, so there's air circulating all the way to the back of the house. This lovely couch here, my wife and I and a bunch of people, we built it, and then we realized it was like 2 inches too high. And 2 inches too low is easy to fix with cob. 2 inches too high is not easy to fix if it involves straw bales and shaving things off and all that. We did, and it took us a while.
I did.
You did.
I did it.
And it used to be less wide. And now we've got it so 2 people can snuggle next to each other or even sleep the night on this couch. And there's some decorative wood from, I think it's from our land, right there. And the uprights from here.
Oh, speaking of wood, the wood that was used to construct this house was made from trees that were harvested and milled just up the hill on a portable mill. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right, on our land. We have about 5 acres of Douglas fir trees up there. You're talking about 16, 18 inches around when they're milling them, so usually bigger than a foot around. So the thing about that is we were lucky to have somebody who was, I think, a 4th generational miller, and he was doing high-end trim work for RVs and all that, and he's like, oh boy, I just got to mill some wood, and he didn't charge us all that much, and he did it on his weekends and when he could, and so there's all these trees, and then they were maybe moved 50 or 100 feet or whatever and milled up there. And then the thing is that then I just take a pickup truck and move them down here. So in other words, there's no like log trucks and fuels and big heavy machinery at all involved in that, which is really nice.
How much would you say this straw bale house cost to build?
Actually, I think about 70 grand. I was thinking about that, which is probably a third of what it would cost otherwise. We had a lot of help with significant things. Most of the wood you see didn't cost us much. These overhead pieces, they cost us hauling them down the hill. Like maybe an hour of hauling all of them or something like that. This middle one is from our land, from maybe 50 feet from here, and it died naturally. It's maple.
How much time would you say it took to build this from start to finish?
I've thought about that, and that's really funny because, of course, it's never done, right? I think we put in about 15,000 hours with everybody, like Mary and I have put in over half the hours. Occasionally we had professional help, but a lot of unskilled but helpful help most of the time. The Cobb cottage across the way, we kept track of hours. And it was 4,100 hours on that one. This one was much bigger. So I think 15,000 hours is very conservative, probably more like 20,000 person hours.
Would you say that was in a span of like 7 years maybe?
Yeah, let's say.
No, more.
Yeah,
More?
actually, so, okay,
It was 10 years when we got the building permit, and then when we got it signed off, it was 10 years.
Okay, I'm going to give dates now. Now my opinion. Okay, we got the go-ahead in December 1999. And so I'm saying, hey, we've been working on this since the last millennium. That's been the running joke, right? We got our final inspection on January 2008. But I don't think it was done then, and it wasn't complete at that point.
2008, okay.
It was definitely 2008.
Well, it felt like longer.
And we had to kind of twist their arm to get the final inspection. They were just like, owner builders. I want to say that being an owner builder has a lot to do with it in a way that were more lenient with us, because we weren't professional. So they just wanted to see a result. But the difference was we're not selling it, and nobody in the future is likely to sue the county. That seems to be an issue to them. So we're just going to live here happily the rest of our lives.
So what do we have here?
So here's some homemade wine from last year. Here's a couple of blackberry that we are about to decant, but we somehow haven't done that yet. This is, I think, plum. That definitely looks like plum, so that's going to be something else. We'll find out when, we knew last year when we did it. But we're about to bottle these up. Maybe not tonight, but basically you pick the fruit, you have a formula, you rack it in here, and then let it sit for 4, 6, 8 months. We're right on the verge of like having ripening fruit again. So we pretty much have to move this through and bottle everything up.
Blackberries are ready for picking again.
Yeah.
Oh, you've got more blackberries ready?
It sure looks like it, yeah.
Okay, so you're making this out of the blackberries right here in the yard, in the garden.
Yeah, they're all within, 100 feet of here. And they're very abundant. You don't have to coax them to do their best. Occasionally we have a good plum crop. Sometimes we've had 20 gallons of plum wine. And we eat fruit too. We usually rack a lot of this stuff into our wine.
All right, we're going to try out some of this blackberry wine.
And it's not necessarily our best bet.
All right, try it out.
Yeah, because it might be a little strong.
Maybe a little strong still. Yeah. Mark just brought over some plum wine to try, so have a go with that.
Come and stand. Yeah, okay.
A little bit sweeter. Back to the blackberry wine. It was added a little bit from a different batch to sweeten it up. It had a bit of a bite before. Now it's a little bit sweeter and smoother.
Yeah, that's good. Okay.
Yeah,
I think
not bad. This is turning into a little wine tasting session here, so this is another batch of blackberry wine. That's
Yeah.
a little bit different still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one the best so far.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I
Pretty
can
good.
get that.
We just picked these fresh vegetables in the garden, and now Mary's going to make dinner. Look at all that. That's great. Beautiful. So you're going to go ahead and start cooking up the food, eh?
Yep, I'm going to add an onion to it.
All right.
And we'll go for it.
Sounds great. All right, time to shuck some corn. Fresh organic corn right out of the garden. Good stuff. All right, throwing the stuff in the skillet. There we go. This cat is named Caboodle. Yeah, he was the whole kitten caboodle. Huh. And the final ingredient is we're going to throw in some dandelions.
Yep, chopped up really small.
Here's the finished product, and we're gonna eat now. So we've got what's in that
Quinoa.
one? Quinoa, and all the veggies right here. Let's try this out.
Yay!
Fresh garden vegetables, tasty.
I've been a vegetarian myself since I was 19, which is a long time ago. And there's reasons why I'm a vegetarian. I don't need to go into it here, but my partner is not always vegetarian. And
So you're a part-time vegetarian.
I really enjoy vegetarian food. I learned to be a vegetarian when I was 27 years old, and it totally changed my life and changed my health for the better. But over the years I discovered that I do need to eat a little bit of meat sometimes, and I always go for the highest quality, like pasture-raised beef or venison or organic free-range chickens, things like that. Or fish, wild-caught fish.
I've been invited to stay the night here at this little cottage, so let me give you a quick little tour. It won't take long. Let's come on in here and have a look. Got a bed right there. And let's open up the blinds now. It's not so hot. Probably got into the 90s today. So a nice little view right out there. And we'll open up this as well. And if you look right over to my left, there's a little wood stove. Won't be needing to use that at all. It's plenty warm in here, but that would be a good thing to have in the winter, I can tell you that. And yeah, just a nice little place to spend the night. Coming up in episode 3 of Homesteading with Mark and Mary, we hear about the construction of Frida's cabin and how long it took to build, and get a tour of the yurt. And we'll get up close and personal with Mark and Mary and learn how they dreamed about being homesteaders and how these two ended up in Oregon and eventually met.
I was in Australia preparing for, at age 40 or so, preparing for the rest of my life. I was ready for settling down, preferably with a partner, on land, living off the grid.
I lived on the East Coast growing up, but I was attracted to Oregon in particular because it had a lot of green dots on the map. So at 21 I moved here.
I got to Eugene and I quickly met Mark McNutt.
And there's a bigger story about that.
You'll also hear what goes on behind the scenes when the DIY network comes to film you.
We had a lot of people here helping. She called in a lot of people, and it was a marathon. We didn't have a day off.
I hope you enjoyed being out here in Oregon with homesteaders Mark and Mary. Don't forget to give me a like in the video, share, and subscribe. Until next time, this is The Rock Hopper. I'll see ya.
Bye.
Bye.